There is a question that I would like to ask you all, which is that now we have a consumer who's not only in theory, but also in practice, looking for sustainability. Sustainability is important. And as far as I understand, artificial intelligence is not really sustainable because it's very energy greedy. And I'd like to have your point of view on this. Alicia seems to disagree, so you will be the first to answer. We have other questions, and I would like some interaction with the audience. So if you can keep your answers short, so that everybody can speak. Thank you.
I'm trapped. Okay, is artificial intelligence super energy greedy? I mean, I'm not sure it's way much energy greedy than anyone using their smartphone anyway. So I'm not sure I would compare like the energy required to have artificial intelligence work with the energy required to have a fabric factory work, honestly. So that's kind of a trick question. Do I have anything interesting to say? Really, no.
No, you don't have to. Has any other one of you got to say something?
It's true that it's really energy consuming, but the question to ask is also, what do you do with your artificial intelligence? So if actually you use artificial intelligence to help brands or people become more sustainable, then artificial intelligence is more sustainable. So if you make better decisions through AI, maybe you can make decisions that are more environmental friendly.
Everybody agrees?
It's a surprising question for me, but I strongly disagree. For me, and I don't know the others, but I don't like the word artificial intelligence. In the chatbot industry, in the interaction industry with customers, we have suffered a lot by the illusion of general artificial intelligence, and we know now that, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but no machine has really passed the famous Turing test, and some very famous AI experts are saying that the best machine has now the common sense of a young rat. So it's not a good word, but the fact is that artificial intelligence is an extraordinary new way to use computers. It's a new way to code. And so there is no choice. We have to use that. And we can see with Google Mind and the Go game how powerful it is. We can see every day in our mobile phones, in our social media feeds, in the search engines, how powerful it is. So make no mistake, it's here to stay. And the question is, how are you going to use that in a good way for your business, for what you do in your daily life?
I will definitely agree with you. Sorry, I forgot your first name. Sorry for that. But yeah, I totally agree with you and with Shanna. Depends on what you do with it. To give you just two examples, what we've been doing in regards to sustainability, we've been working with construction and buildings to make buildings more sustainable by looking at predictive what will be the energy needs in the futures and to adapt the construction to make the consumption lower. That's an example. And another one, which is very useful, is to detect any leak. For example, imagine you've got pipelines of water, and you need to detect leaks and to avoid to losing all of that. And artificial intelligence can be used as well for, like, I would say, predictive maintenance, leak detection, and can definitely help, even if I totally agree with the energy you need to put to get your server turning. But on the other side, you've got so many things that you can do, and I just gave two examples that I know because we've been doing that. But there is probably much more that you can do over the world to help the sustainability.
Yes, I think that's. I want to echo that very clearly. I think it depends on what you use your AI or whatever you want to call it for. If you want to replace your fashion designer by a supercomputer that scans the entire human archive of fashion designs in the past to come up with one new creation, probably is a very inefficient, energy sustainable use of AI. If you use even a small computer to optimize a factory for sustainable and resource-efficient manufacturing or a supply chain, it's a very efficient use. So it really depends on what you use it for.
all in your presentations, you mentioned a lot of the big names, LVMH and all the other big guys, except in Venice, who mentioned really SMEs. But is artificial intelligence really not reserved, but dedicated to the big guys or to the luxury guys?
No, I really don't think so. I think it's dedicated to people who want to invest skills. First, because, as I said, many of them, and I talk about Google, but it's also true for other big players out there, most of the artificial intelligence work that we do is open source. So now we have what is called API, without being too technical, systems that allow you to kind of plug your own systems, even as an SME, to the cloud and use all the computing powers of Google to actually use different APIs. It could be, for one example, could be you have a lot of voice calls or voice messages, and you want to plug them all in the cloud and use an API to transform those voice messages into text and be able to run analysis on the words that have been said, and from that you can, I don't know, deduce why were people calling, what was the problem with the product, what do people want. And those are APIs that are available for everyone. So the question is not, are you a big or a small company, but do you have at least someone who has the technical skills and the will? Do you want to actually invest resources in using the infrastructures that is open and that exist out there?
In Venice, maybe?
Yeah, well, the thing is, what we decided when we started in Venice is to say that there is not even one guy, one technical guy in the company. And for example, one of our customers, we are a few here like working at SMEs. One of our customers is like an agency for like buildings. There are maybe like 9 or 10. I can tell you that this is not that job, and they maybe know a little bit about Excel, but that's it. And this is for that type of companies. I would say that we do exist because there are like so many small size companies with not only one technical guy. And this is why we just say, okay, we give you like a URL, login password, and you just log and make it, because it could be very tricky, and there are like so many lack of data scientists or even people from IT just to implement any solution that the market for that is huge today.
We saw the example of Google Lens. You know, you don't need to be very rich. I suppose it's free. You can use a lot of apps today that are using artificial intelligence. So it's everywhere. So first of all, you need to in your companies, small or big, to start understanding what is this new technology and what you are going to do. And of course, there are some solutions like ours that are more designed for big customers, or at least clients that have 1 million customers, let's say. But after, it's an organization of the market.
Okay, well, just before we ask if the audience has questions, you are tech guys, most of you. No? No, not tech, okay. But you have a big interest and big tech culture. So how do you feel the fashion industry is positioned in... Lutz said that we are backwards to some extent, and for good reasons, or we're a bit late. For some good reasons and some bad reasons, but do you think that fashion has a lot to gain with using more and increasingly so artificial intelligence, and maybe that there are particular hindrance or problems that make it difficult for the fashion industry to really profit or take advantage of artificial intelligence?
I think there are a lot of things in your questions. The first thing is, do fashion have an interest using artificial intelligence? Yes, I think definitely there are thousands of topics to cover with artificial intelligence for fashion. One of them, for instance, is reducing the forecasting errors. McKinsey study showed that with AI you could reduce it by 50%. Then it's maybe helping the creation, the personalization, everything that has been mentioned by everyone. Two, is it maybe harder for fashion to use AI? Fashion industry is creative by definition. So AI, if you don't know it, can be seen as an adversary, kind of. So how do creative can deal with AI, especially, for instance, at Curitech, we do trend detection. How can we do trend detection and at the same time respect creativity? It's a big topic. And the last thing is, are we backwards? I don't know.
Late.
I will late, sorry. I don't know because I don't know what's happening on the other industries, but I'm really impressed to see how big groups like LVMH are using AI. I'm also very impressed to see that at Station F we have Adidas, we have LVMH, we have EFM. So a lot of fashion-related industries within Station F. So, yeah.
A bit as you said, I'm not sure we're that late, to be honest, because AI is very broad. As we said, fashion in itself, it's super broad. Are you talking about creativity? Are we talking about supply chain? Are we talking about retail? I think a lot is happening, and my intuition is that we're just afraid because we don't know where to start. But I also am quite optimistic because I think once people in the fashion industry, and it's starting, understand the true value of what they can get from AI, then it can be super quick. Because we have big heritage houses with huge traditions, and they may seem like they want to go slow, but in the end, I think once they get the decision to actually move forward, and I would say even when the creative direction takes the decision to move forward with an innovative project using AI, then it can be very quick. So I'm not very worried about fashion being late compared to other industries.
We're going to make it.
Yeah.
Well, I would not be so confident myself regarding fashion. I know that verticals like travel, telecom are quite advanced. I know also that in other industries, some new companies were able to disrupt completely the market very quickly. Think about Netflix. Think about Spotify and the musical industry. We were speaking about Station F this morning. Ian Rogers was there. And LVMH called someone coming from the music industry. Interesting. So just one point. You know that AI and data are really related. Without data, there is no AI. And without AI, you don't know what to do with your data. So it's really mixed. And you know also something very clear. WeChat is super powerful because they have something like 900 million active users. Netflix is super powerful and is getting more powerful every day because it has a lot of active users and because it analyzes and uses this data to get better and better every day. The engineers at the Facebook group, we work on a daily basis with them, and they say we're not A/B testing anymore. We are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We are testing. We are trying to get better at what we do every single minute on a scale never seen because we have new tools like AI. So we all, you have in your industry to think about that, and maybe becoming with disruptive ideas like a new model.
So the message is go for it.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. Well, and I would say, but we already said that no, you are not that late, and I can tell you I've seen like many companies in some activity that you will not 1 second think that they are not using data and artificial intelligence, and at the end you see that they don't have anybody working on that. So I think it really depends, but I'm not sure that the fashion market is like that late because there are like so many examples. And the other point, is it interesting for fashion? Yes, of course, because obviously at the end of the day, the objective of the marketing would be to get like new customers and to know before what's going on, to know the trend. The objective, the goal of the logistic operation will be to improve and to optimize their logistic chain, their supply chain, to not to get overstocked. So the objective of all the businesses are quite similar, even though your products at the end are quite different from the other industry. But I'm quite sure that the final objective is similar. So there is like no reason that it could not work for you if it works for other industries.
Okay. Just one word?
Yes, very quickly. I think there's no question whether fashion will make it in the digital age. fashion will definitely make it into the digital age. The question is, will today's fashion players make it into the digital age? And that's, I think, where I agree with you to say whenever we see disruption in a sector, in industry, the leaders before the disruption most of the time are not the leaders after the disruption. So that's something that I think we have to expect. And then when it comes to digital innovation, there are these two waves. You have the first wave, and a lot of startups that we have, for them, they try to provide solutions to today's businesses. So you improve incrementally a business of an LVMH, an Adidas, an H&M, a Zara, and you're happy as a startup, but you don't disrupt that business. And then the next stage is actually the disruption. And those businesses, very few of those very successful businesses disrupt themselves. It's very difficult to disrupt yourself if you're successful. That's why the automotive industry in Europe is struggling so much, because they are successful right now, they're making a lot of money, and still they know they have to disrupt themselves, because otherwise they may not exist anymore in 10 years or 20 years. And I think that's where then players from outside come with completely different concepts, business models that are powered by digital and AI.
Yeah. A cynical comment would be that it's good news that the fashion industry worldwide is not doing that well at the moment, so we may have some disruption coming to us. Do you have questions? I'm sure you do. Let's take one or two. You seem to be in awe. No question? Yes, Chiara.
What are the biggest challenges with SMEs for bringing them with digital innovation, with AI? What are the main challenges with interacting with them?
Is it money?
I would say the first challenge, the biggest challenge, and it doesn't matter whether you're big or small, is mindset.
Yes, you need to got like at the end, and you totally say that you need to got a data at some stage, and then to be able to use those technologies, and you need as well to got someone thinking about what do you need at the end, because it's not only plugging like a product on your data. It means you know your own business, and you need to know exactly what you need, because then you will spend like months or years just watching diagrams and pictures. But if you don't know what you're looking for, and that's the first step as well to to improve that.
There is a Chinese proverb saying, when the wise man is on top of the mountain, he doesn't see how beautiful is the mountain. And this is a way to say it's very difficult to innovate when you are successful. When you're on top, it's super difficult. So it's a mindset, I agree. And then it's finding the right method to innovate. And especially in technology today, if you are planning a project to find the perfect product or the perfect solution in the next 3 months or 6 months, it will not happen. So it's difficult sometimes to accept that idea that it's incremental. We will discover things, and especially we don't know here what are all the use cases for the fashion industry, but we know that when you start, you discover things, you came with new data, you discover new insights, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much to all of you. It was extremely interesting.